For 7 years our lives were entwined, not flawlessly, but intimately, painstakingly stitched together with late-night conversations, stolen weekends, shared dreams, and quiet plans for a family we both claimed to want. 4 of those years we called each other husband and wife. I thought we were building something solid, brick by brick, a future shaped by mutual effort and belief. I thought we were aligned, heart to heart, future to future. I was wrong. The shift didn't happen in an instant. It crept in quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. She began going out more, harmlessly, she said. First with coworkers after long days at the office. Then with new faces, people whose names I never heard until they slipped away again like ghosts. Her phone, once casually abandoned on the counter, became a fixture in her hand, clutched tightly, guarded with sudden passwords and tilted screens. She smiled more at the small glowing device than she did at me. I noticed the signs. Of course I did, but I fought against them. I told myself trust mattered more than my gnawing doubts. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband, the cliché of insecurity. I convinced myself love meant having faith, even when faith felt foolish. Until one night, everything fractured. We were sitting at the kitchen table, the same table where we had once planned vacations and whispered about baby names, when she looked up from her glass of wine, her voice unervingly light, almost playful. Asterisk, what if we opened our marriage? Asterisk, she asked, as casually as suggesting a weekend trip to the coast. I laughed, a short, bewildered sound, expecting her to chuckle too, to tell me she was joking. But she didn't. I'm serious, she continued, her eyes steady, almost unervingly calm. It's natural, you know. People aren't meant to be confined to just one person forever. I want to explore. The words hit me like a slow, deliberate blow to the chest. I struggled to breathe. I tried to argue, tried to remind her of everything we had built, the promises we had made without coercion or regret. Explore. Asked her. Hadn't we been exploring life together, side by side, bound not by chains but by choice? She didn't waver. Her gaze flickered briefly. Was it guilt? Was it regret? But it hardened again into something colder, resolute. And then she said it, the ultimatum. If you can't handle it, maybe we should end this. That night I didn't sleep. Her words replayed in my head on a vicious loop, shredding the fabric of the life I thought we shared. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how the woman who had once clutched my hand and sworn forever could toss our vows aside like a worn-out jacket. How could the years we spent building this life, brick by brick, now seem so meaningless to her? For 3 days, I moved through the world like a ghost. I went to work. I smiled when expected. I ate when necessary. But inside I was crumbling, weighing every word she had said, every possible path forward. On the 4th night the decision was made. She came home late, the way she had been lately, hair tousled, smelling faintly of unfamiliar perfume and city air. When she walked in, she found me waiting at the kitchen table, a suitcase packed and ready by the door. Her face paled. "What's that?" she asked, voice shaky, as if she already knew but needed to hear it aloud. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. My words came out colder than I had ever spoken to her. "You gave me 2 paths," I said, my voice steady. "Accept sharing you or leave. I'm choosing a 3rd. I'm walking away. Not because you demanded it, but because I finally see you for who you are." Her expression shifted rapidly. Confusion, panic, anger, a flash of the woman I once loved flickering behind unfamiliar eyes. She hadn't expected this. She thought I would plead, bargain, cling. "You don't mean that," she whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of consequences she had never anticipated. "I do," I said simply. "You want freedom. You have it. The door's open. Take whatever you want from this place. I'm done." Tears welled in her eyes then, real ones, and for a flicker of a second, she looked like the woman who used to curl against me on cold nights, whispering dreams into my ear. But it was too late. Some betrayals don't wound. They sever. She tried to backtrack, tried to say it was just a thought, that we could talk it through. But there are things you can't patch with words. Some fractures split too deep to be mended. I stood up, picked up my keys, and walked out without another glance. I didn't slam the door. I didn't break anything. I just left, quietly. Finally. 2 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. It happened faster than either of us expected. When you burn the bridge yourself, there's no point pretending to rebuild it. She tried reaching out afterward. Texts I ignored, calls that went unanswered. Mutual friends said she was struggling. That the freedom she had chased with such conviction had turned hollow. That the wide open world she thought would thrill her only left her adrift, unmoored, and lonelier than she had ever been. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate her downfall. I simply didn't look back. In the months that followed, I pieced myself together. I reconnected with old friends I had lost to the gravity of our marriage. I picked up hobbies I'd abandoned. I took a solo trip I had always dreamed of but had set aside for someday. I discovered that happiness, real, quiet happiness, wasn't something another person could hand me or take away. It had to come from within. Meanwhile, she dated, but none of it lasted. She had tied so much of her identity to what we were, and when that collapsed, she was left chasing shadows. The open relationship she craved was nothing but a shallow distraction from an emptiness she hadn't dared face. I didn't hate her. I pitied her. And I learned something crucial. Real love doesn't demand that you erase yourself for someone else's convenience. Real love is built on trust, respect, and mutual devotion, not ultimatums and wandering eyes. She wanted to be untethered. In doing so, she lost something irreplaceable, me. And I discovered the hardest truth. Sometimes the real strength isn't in holding on tighter. It's in letting go, in standing tall enough to walk away when staying would cost you your soul. By refusing her terms, I reclaimed my life. And for the first time in years, could finally breathe.